Hey YouTube, welcome back to Tinker with Tools. Today we've got a brand new imported Japanese impact driver to review, so let's go ahead and get into that on Tinker with Tools. Now, it's already been 6 months since I did the last video on Metabo HPT impact drivers, but earlier this year they announced that they were bringing out a new generation of the triple hammer. This is the brand new Hikoki WH36DD, and so this is kind of the third generation, in my opinion, of triple hammer impact driver. There is a lot of good stuff here and some stuff that's a little bit puzzling, but today what I want to do is go through everything, comparing it to the ones that we already have, and then talking about some of the advantages and potential disadvantages of importing a tool from Japan. Overall, the controls and ergonomics seem fairly identical to that of the triple hammer bolt. And although the tool is a little bit smaller, you'd be hard pressed to notice it because the difference is only 3 millimeters between the old generation and this new generation. Weight is almost identical, and even when you start using the modes, a lot of the modes have the exact same speed and impact levels on them. And so really, there isn't a whole lot in terms of that is going to be different with this tool. Now, as I mentioned, it is a little bit more compact, but that's really not the biggest thing. Probably the most noticeable change is going to be the lights on the impact driver, and we'll be sure to make sure and test the difference in light output between these tools later today so you can kind of understand how noticeable that is. Now, the next and possibly the one that would deter people from buying, I guess you could say, is going to be the torque output of this new tool. Now, previously on the 36 volt triple hammer, it's rated at 1903 inch-pounds of torque or 215 newton meters. Now, this new tool is actually rated only at 200 newton meters, which is approximately 1770 inch-pounds of torque. So we're actually seeing a decrease in torque of about 7%. If you follow anything with the other Japanese impact drivers, you kind of see that in that market, they don't necessarily chase sky-high torque numbers. And so potentially that is something we're starting to see with Metabo HPT. Previously, they were trying to kind of compete with some of those bigger, stronger impact drivers on the market, and instead, they might be going a slightly different direction. Now, make no mistake, that amount of torque is still enough to get most jobs done. You just may not be doing larger fasteners quite as quick or effortlessly as what you're used to if you come over from a bigger, stronger impact driver, like say the Milwaukee or a Flex or something. I bought this tool only off of eBay, and obviously with Hikoki and Metabo HPT being the same brand owned by the same company, you can just use all of your Metabo HPT multi-volt batteries on this tool. Now, because it is a 36 volt tool, you are not going to be using it on the smaller compact 2.0 batteries. This tool is available for purchase through the Japanese Amazon site, and you are going to pay a little bit more, but you can actually get the kit with it. Now, when you purchase the kit, it does come with a newer style of Metabo HPT battery that actually has Bluetooth built into it. Now, where that comes in is when it's on the tool, you are able to pair the tool to an app that they do offer in the Japanese market. Now, with that app, you can control a couple of different factors. Specifically, it says minimum rotation speed, max revolutions, soft start, low range speed width, and switch play. Now, with switch play, I think it just means you can control which modes are on which part of the control board down here, but you can go ahead and set up various custom profiles with the different settings that you need specifically for certain jobs. Then next, specifically only in that app, they do offer something called thin screw mode, which is specifically designed for really small, delicate fasteners. Now, personally, I wish they had just put those different modes on the tool. Maybe not the customization, but that thin screw mode, just include it in the tool and don't make it sit behind the app, because unfortunately, even if you were to go on Amazon's Japan site and order that and have it delivered here, you still do not have access to that Hikoki app that is necessary for it. There are still some hurdles that come with this tool. While I think the future is bright for when it comes to a Metabo HPT version of it, but unfortunately for today, we are going to be stuck without it. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend you go out and buy that kit with those batteries. You're not necessarily getting the functionality that comes with them. All right, so now it's time to get to the performance testing. We've talked about the differences. We talked about the similarities. Does the decrease in power make a difference? Let's go ahead and run through them through a variety of fastening tests and then talk about some of the different other things that we did just in using the tool and kind of go through all that. So let's go right to the performance testing. The new Hikoki didn't necessarily fill faster right out of the gate, but on a lot of the smaller fasteners, it actually fared quite well. But the big takeaway from testing all of these different impact drivers is every single impact driver won at least one test, and every single impact driver lost at least one test, or was the worst time out of all those tests. And even though this one did come out on top, I think it was by about 3 or 4% over the other two Bolt models, and then it kind of did leave the original model in the dust a little bit. Now, specifically talking about that model, when you watched that last fastener, that 8-inch GRK, it really exposed something that every once in a while you see the triple hammers do, where about 5 or 6 seconds into it, you almost hear the motor shift down, and the speed and the ability to drive the fastener really change significantly. If you look at the other impact drivers on that 8-inch GRK, you see similar moments of that as well. Now, there's been a lot of testing done by others, including Torque Test Channel, that have shown that this impact driver has been known to slip at times with that triple hammer design, and that is something that perhaps you're seeing when you get to the bigger fasteners. Now, on the smaller stuff, and when I say smaller, I'm really talking 5 to 6 inches and less, I think it's really well equipped to handle those. It's just when you get up into the really big fasteners, I think that's where you'd be better suited with a different tool that is perhaps going to perform a little bit better. Now, in addition, we did some light testing that was able to kind of show the difference in the light, and starting specifically with the older triple hammer, and that one was actually only putting out 178 lux on our light meter. When we moved up to the 18-volt Bolt, I saw 310 lux. The 36-volt model actually put out 360 lux. So now the newest model, it does put out more light, and it was quite noticeable at 606 lux, and it definitely does light up your work area a lot more. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to really put this to the test with some of those new custom modes, and I think that's where the customization would really set this apart from some of the older tools. Now, when it comes to kind of the Japanese specific things that kind of make up this tool, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about so you are aware of them should you want to purchase a Japanese domestic impact driver. You may have heard it said before that American impact drivers have a different style collet than the Japanese impact drivers, but what does that really mean? Well, in terms of the easiest way to illustrate it, if you go ahead and put the calipers in here, you're going to be getting just over 3/4 of an inch from the tip of the collet all the way to the base of it. When you go to these Japanese impact drivers, you're getting more than 1/4 inch greater depth, and that's because what is more common in the Japanese market is going to be these double-sided or Type A bit. The style we are more used to is what they call Type B, where you're just going to have a flat end on one of them, but because of that double-sided nature, they actually have the deeper collet so that that end of the bit has somewhere to go when it is inserted into the tool. And so when they do make Type B bits, they actually make them, ball detent section of the bit is going to be further from the back of the bit. As you can kind of see, there is quite a pronounced difference between the two bits. Now, the good news is, for the most part, I have had no trouble using American style bits in my Japanese impact driver, with the exception that there is just a lot of forward and back because it doesn't have something to butt up against there at the back. Now, with most of the bits, I've tried DeWalt, Milwaukee, the North American Makita bits, WeHub bits that I favor a lot on this channel. All of those have worked just fine. Now, if you'll notice, when I ran the 18-volt American style triple hammers, I used this blue bit directly inserted into the tools when I drove that 8-inch GRK. But in all of the Japanese market ones, it would not work. I will tell you that that is the one thing that I'd be careful with those North American bits. With Amazon and with some of the availability there, you can buy a variety of different bit kits that really do kind of give you just about everything you need, and the quality on them, especially if you're buying from Vessel, is top notch, and they give you just a really nice quality bit. Obviously, if you use the Japanese style bits in the Japanese impact drivers, all that forward and back play goes away, but that is something that you should be aware of, that if you're going to spend the money on this, you should consider at least trying out some of the Japanese bits. You may find that you don't need them, and it doesn't bother you to use the American style bit, but just always be careful when you're inserting something in there, because I have seen my own bits at times get stuck, and so I would hate to have you buy something on a recommendation from me and then go ahead and try it and have a bad experience with a bit getting stuck in the collet. So that's something to consider there. Now, lastly, the last thing we need to talk about, like I said, is going to be the colors. The color that you're most commonly going to see on Metabo HPT is this green, and that is what they're calling aggressive green in these Japanese models. tools. They also do have 4 additional colors, 3 of which you can have pretty good accessibility to, at least that I've seen. Strong black is going to be just very similar to the black that you're getting there. Forest green is kind of a military green, if you will, kind of a tannish green. And then they do have scorpion red, which is what I have here, and then spider yellow. Spider yellow is the one that if I could get my hands on that, I would definitely consider buying yet another Japanese impact driver to have that spider yellow. It's a really bright, annoying yellow, and I absolutely love everything about it. But every place that I've gone and looked, that is the one color that you don't seem to be able to get really easy. The green, the black, and the red are highly available. Price-wise, I paid roughly $200 for this impact driver. That is more expensive than if I were to wait for it to come out in a Metabo HPT model. And you usually see it come down. For everything that I've shown here today, I will have links for you to be able to buy them there. They are affiliate links, so if you do purchase something, it doesn't change the cost for you. It just does provide a small commission to the channel. I will have links to all the different bits that I've tested that do work or are highly compatible with it. One little caveat on the bits that I just want to mention really quick. This kit from Vessel is not a JIS style bit. This is actually just the standard American style bits. This kit is a wonderful kit, but it's not going to solve the problem that you have with these. All right, so when it comes down to it, is the Hikoki triple hammer worth it for you to buy right now? That's where it comes with the big caveat of it depends. I really like it. I do think it is an improvement on the prior generation of impact drivers, but it doesn't feel like a huge generational improvement with the features that I have access to right now. If I were to get access to those features and to be able to unlock some of that customization on here, I might feel like it is more worthy of a purchase. And so for that reason, that's why I say it depends. Now, as always, if you have any questions about any of the tools or bits that we featured today, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below. If you like the video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I've got plans in the coming week or two to pit this and some of the other top tier Metabo impact drivers against 2 of the better ones from Makita, so we can see who reigns supreme over the Japanese market for impact drivers. So stay tuned for that. As always, thank you for all the support. And until next time, I'll catch you on Tinker with Tools.